Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Prison Architect. It would appear that we have a rat problem and we should probably invest in some kind of deterrent, which is fine because we have been investing in some kind of deterrent. That's what the classroom or the training room over here is for, and that is what one of our programs happens to be for. Our staff program is pest control training. By completing this program, staff will learn how to install and empty pest control traps, learning how to prepare the mechanisms and handle pests afterwards safely. So, you would think that we were already prepared. You would assume that if we go into objects and I search for rat and we get the rat trap, which if staff have passed the pest removal program, they will be able to set these contraptions up and humanely remove any occupants that have been captured. You would assume that all I have to do is place these around the prison or in storage and that my staff will do something about it. Well, you would assume that because I assumed that and I thought I would be right. It turns out I'm wrong. Turns out we're all wrong. And that the rat traps, at least in my testing, do nothing. Now, I say in my testing because I damn near lost my mind trying to figure out how these things work. Specifically in this save, I got like 10 minutes into recording this episode and I'm just like, why are these not working? What am I doing? It was one of those things where I just felt like an idiot and it didn't feel like it was going to make for a good episode. It felt like it was going to be really frustrating to watch. It was really frustrating to play because it felt like I was doing something wrong. But I've searched the Steam forums and I've searched through Reddit and I've searched around the internet. And from what I can gather, the rat traps just sort of do nothing. Your staff don't seem to set them up. Same with the sonic rat deterrents. So the only thing you can reasonably do is call in air pest control for $2,500 and they will get rid of the rats. So what that says to me is I can stop my pest control training because I don't need it and I can save that money, which is great. Now, I probably do want to do things like electrician training, which will allow my staff to learn how to deal with faulty wiring, which would be great. Fire safety and first aid are pretty self-explanatory. But I don't know. I'm just a little frustrated at this one. I'm not going to lie. Now, to bring in air pest control, what I'm going to have to do is get rid of this helicopter and hopefully manage to call these guys at some point. There we go. So that helicopter is going to come in. It's going to drop them off. They're going to run around and spray the entire prison. And then when they're done, we get a phone call from the janitor saying that we've handled the calamity and we get a bonus of $10,000, which I'm not going to say no to. I just kind of wish that the rat traps did something. Now, just to be clear, I genuinely did test the rat traps. I placed them in storage. I placed them around the prison. I placed them in a bunch of different places, and my staff just never went near them. They didn't set them up. They didn't try to empty them. I never caught anything. We got up to like 40 or 50 rats at one point, and if you have too many rats and you don't deal with it, your prisoners will potentially get sick, like food poisoning and things like that, because the rats get into the kitchen. It's a whole thing to deal with, and I should say there are other ways to deal with it, such as getting insurance coverage plans. So if we got ourselves a pest control plan, we can spend $1,000 per day to automatically bring in a squad of pest control whatever. I don't think we need to do that. I doubt we're going to have rats every single day, at least right now. So we'll just call in the emergency pest control if and when we happen to need them. Now, what I would like to do is go into grants, and I want to grab cell block B. I did see a comment from someone, I don't remember who, that mentioned that apparently there is a known issue where whenever you accept a grant, like a third grant, and then save and reload, or save and quit and then load later, it will sometimes cancel one of those grants. I could swear that I did select this grant at one point, but I'm going to grab it again for the extra money. And what I would like to do is basically go ahead and start planning an expansion to my cells. Now, while I'm doing this, actually, I want to measure these. What size would this be? 17 by 11? Okay, let's do 17 by 11 here, and let's do 17 by 11 here. Now, just while we're talking about comments, I actually did see one from Hexor Doomhammer that said if you want to preserve even more space in your cells, you can place a toilet, shower head, and drain on the same tile, and everything will be functional. It'll also make plumbing a bit more organized. So basically, I could grab these toilets, I could put them on that tile up there. That's something I think we will absolutely do. because it might let me add radios to my cells. It'll let me add more things to the cells and so on and so forth. And I think that's going to be for the best. So absolutely, if there's any tips and tricks like that anybody has, let me know, because I've played a lot of Prison Architect, but I'm also what we call in the industry an idiot. So it's the same thing with like City Skylines, man. I have put so hundreds of hours into City Skylines, and there's still little tips and tricks that I learn every day. I don't really watch much City Skylines on YouTube these days, because I'm, number one, kind of slowly getting back into City Skylines 2, and more importantly, I really try to avoid like picking up on other people's little just quirks and mannerisms. If you've been around for a while on the channel, you'll be aware that I've always referred to myself as something of a sponge for accents. People always ask, where does my accent come from? Because I don't sound like I'm from Northern Ireland. And that's true, I largely don't. But the reason I sound the way I do is because growing up, I loved accents. I mean, I consumed a lot of international media, a lot of media from England and America and all over the world. And I had a lot of friends that were Scottish and Welsh and just all over the place, because I was always online. I was chronically online, you could say. And it was great. It's okay. This isn't a pity party. I just, as a result of that, a lot of my formative years were spent talking with Scottish people, and so throughout my teens, I was always putting on a Scottish accent. I can't really do it anymore, but I loved it. I love the Scottish. I just love accents. So this is the result of 15 years, 20 years of messing around with different voices and things like that. So I don't know. I don't know how I got into this, but yeah, anyway, long and short, if you have any tips and tricks for Prison Architect, let me know, because I probably don't know them. Now, what I would like to do here is probably put a common room into this space. We can probably do some more little prison services in this area as well. And I think what I'll do with these cells is actually have them be cells instead of dormitories, like we've been doing down here with these little cells and the luxury beds. Now, the luxury beds are expensive. I don't love having to spend all of that money to get those things, but I think it's going to be worth it. I think it's going to keep my prisoners nice and happy. And actually, just while we're talking about my prisoners, there was another part to Hector Doomhammer's comment that said, shutting down short sentences will allow your prisoners to properly take and finish reform programs, meaning they're less likely to reoffend, so you won't get another $40,000 fine. Now, I saw that, and at the time I read it, I was on my phone when I read it. I kind of go through YouTube comments. It's one of the first things I do in the morning when I wake up, which is the worst thing you can do. If you ever get into this, have a coffee and have some breakfast and give yourself an hour or two to properly wake up before you go through YouTube comments. For the most part, these days, it's fine. But when when this channel was first kind of blowing up years and years ago, I was not I won't say well-adjusted adult, but I was not the adjusted adult that I am now. And I would read like one bad comment first thing in the morning and my day was ruined. Anyway, I didn't think you could do anything about the mutators while in the game, but it turns out you can pause, which you might notice my pause menu looks a little bit different. I may or may not have discovered how to edit textures in Prison Architect, and I'm very excited about the ability to do that. I'm probably not gonna release anything that I edit, because it's all like putting bits of software ink back here and hightail back here and kind of changing the menu to look more like the color of the channel icon right now. It's a whole, I'm having a lot of fun in my free time, but you can, I think, go to extras and then mutators, and I can just turn off short sentences. Now, if you did watch that first episode of the series, this reduces our sentences. It makes them much shorter. It causes prisoners to get through the prison a lot quicker. But the downside to that is that they don't complete any programs. Now, the benefit to turning that off, which we have just done, is that when we get around to setting up something like a workshop for the prisoners, because they're going to be here a bit longer, they will now have an opportunity to work in the workshop, make number plates, and we can sell those much in the way that we sell all of the logs from all of the trees. So this is going to work out. This should be pretty good. It might have been a bit dumb to go for the shorter sentences, but that's the Conflict Nerd promise, man. That's what we that's what we do here on the channel. So let's go ahead and start a little bit of construction. I do think getting the cells in here first is going to be the smart move. We can build the extra parts a little bit later on. So we'll do something like this, which is $9,000. We can go to objects, or rather we can go to walls and doors. We can get ourselves something like this large jail door. And I'm going to place one there, and I'm going to place one there, and that'll be the entrances to that new space. And then once that's all built, we can start copying and pasting some cells over. We might redesign them a little bit with the sort of shower, drain, and toilet in one space. But for now, this is kind of the priority. In fact, we'll let my workers do that while I come down here, because there was another comment that I want to talk about from SWATCon, who said, not the prison door and the cleaning cupboard and laundry room. Yeah, we can probably swap these out. We can probably dismantle this one and dismantle this one. We'll make that a bit of a priority. And we can swap those out for something like, I guess just a regular door is probably fine for these spaces. I don't need them to be super secure. This will also let my prisoners out a little bit easier. We have a jail door here. We have a jail door here. They're not going anywhere. Obviously, if they break into those spaces, we'll send some guards down to deal with them, but I think some regular doors there should be completely fine. Oh, there we go. We have this space built. That really took no time at all, which is just fantastic. I love having a decent number of workers for these sort of early game projects. It makes me really happy to be able to get these things done. Now, I don't want to spend, well, you know what? I was going to say I don't want to spend all day today just talking about different comments that I've read, but that's kind of one of my favorite things to do. I kind of defeat, it's kind of part of the gig, right? You put out a video, so you comment on it, you kind of go back and forth. Like, I think that's part of why I do this. I like the conversation. So there were actually a lot of people that talked about this next part, and it is relevant to what we're about to build, specifically utilities and running large water pipes. Now, I'll point to Tats4563, who said, quick tip, try not to run large water pipes right past your cells, as they are easier for inmates to tunnel through. Also remember, when you put down a cleaning cupboard and assign prisoners, you won't need to have a lot of hired cleaners, just enough to cover areas that prisoners can't go to. So basically, this right here, this massive pipe that we have through the middle here, is not exactly ideal. So what I think I'm going to try and do, and this might backfire, but I'm going to just dismantle all of my utilities in here. All of my water utilities are going to go, and I really hope this will be like a marquee tool to let me do this. But I'm going to take out all of these pipes, and obviously this is going to cause some problems initially, but my thinking is that what we can maybe do is run some pipes kind of around the outside of this area. Now, I'm not 100% sure that this is going to be much better, but it does keep the large pipes away from where my prisoners are. It means they have to tunnel a little bit further. Again, no idea if this is necessarily a good idea, but it's what I'm going to try and do. And I might use this as an opportunity to rearrange the cells a little bit as well. So I guess let's give this a shot. Let's move this, we'll move this toilet to this spot. We'll move this toilet down here and this toilet to here. These toilets can all move to those spots, and that should, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That should mean that I'm able to just run one kind of line of pipes through here. Now, obviously, it's going to be slightly different on the other side. I might want to start to get a lot more kind of mirrored symmetry in here to make my life a little bit easier. But for this first cell block, I'm not really too worried about that, so I think this will be totally fine. We'll get these guys up here. We'll get this one just up here, and we'll get this one just there. And with those all moved, we are hopefully going to be in a spot now where, in terms of utilities, I do still have some pipes kind of sitting in here, which is slightly frustrating. If we could get rid of all of these, that would be ideal, because this is going to be really messy otherwise. So let's just prioritize all of that work really quickly, which it looks like we've managed to do. We do still have some pipes down through the middle as well, so we'll clear out all of those. And it looks like I missed a toilet, so let me just move that toilet as well to that spot there. So now my hope is that I can use these small pipes for everything. I don't remember what the distance happens to be on the small pipes, but we'll give this a shot. We're just going to run them up to the showers and the toilets there. This one can go to here. We'll have that little extension across. And same story here. We're going to run up to the top just like so. And this one's going to run to, I guess, there. I don't know if that's going to work. I actually have no idea. We'll run that one across there. And I guess maybe over that way. But we'll see how this goes. We will need to run some hot water pipes as well to all of the showers. So we'll just run those down exactly the same lines. And this does look a lot neater than what we had going on before. Admittedly, I'm realizing that I'm doing this slightly the wrong way. Can I cancel? Oh, I don't want to cancel all of it. That's not what I want to do. I'm doing this the wrong way. I've done it the wrong way. Hold on. Let's just redo all of that really quickly. There we go. This is looking a fair bit better, and it's looking a fair bit neater, which is absolutely fantastic. I think having the pipes around the outside there is a much better choice. Now, we do need to get a little bit of, oh, have we got a fight going on over here? We absolutely do. That's not ideal, but it looks like we've kind of dealt with it. We might have one or two people going into lockup or into solitary, but at the very least, I do have my workers coming around to reinstall some of the electrical cable that we will have dug up. That's not even a word. Fair enough. There we go. So we have electricity around here as well. Everyone has their lights, which is great. Duggan. It's just, okay, fair enough. My grasp of the English language is just incredible. It's like, it's a whole thing. Let's get these doors just out of here and let's start to put some extra cells in here, because I think what we're going to do is basically just grab this layout that we have here for these cells and sort of repeat that. So if we go into quick build, we can go to custom, we can go to clone, and we just want to do something like this. We want to put it there. We want to go there, we want to go there, and we want to go there. And that's going to give us room for 4 more cells, which is absolutely fantastic. It's going to be a little bit expensive with the luxury beds and all of that. I do think my prisoners might be a little bit upset about the fact that they won't have had working toilets and showers for a night or two there, but they'll manage. I'm also thinking we can probably go through and just dismantle some of the drains that we're not going to be needing now. So those drains can go, those drains can go. Basically, the drains in the dormitories can be stripped right back, and that'll save us a little bit of money when it comes to building new cells, because we can sort of reuse the drains, which will be absolutely fantastic. Oh, I didn't realize something had happened down here. So you're going to lockdown and you're going to solitary. We've got a lot of prisoners up here that are absolutely losing their mind. I'm not, oh, you want drugs? Okay. You want to see your family. You want alcohol. Why have they all suddenly decided that they're gonna, how has this happened? How has this happened? I really, oh boy. Things are getting a little bit out of hand here, but you know what? We'll be okay. We'll manage. What we might have to do is add some phones to the yard, or add some phones to a common room over here, or maybe both, so that they can call their family when, you know, they're not just in visitation. For now, I'm hoping we can kind of get on top of whatever's going on right now, because this definitely isn't ideal, and this definitely isn't good. This little sort of mini uproar that we have going on. Looking up this way, they have serious complaints. So safety is one of them. Warmth is another. Interesting. Have I messed up their... Did I get rid of... I did pull the radiators out of the cells. Oh. Oh, that makes so much sense. If we look at temperature, yeah, they're freezing. Ah, okay. Well, that'll do it. All right. Yeah, no, they're going to need some radiators. Now, there's nowhere that I can put a radiator, so I think what we'll do is move the yellow chair to these spaces, because then I can put the radiator on top of the spot where there already is some, I guess in there is going to be totally fine. We can basically put the radiator in a spot where we already have some hot water pipes, and that's going to mean that I don't have to redo the utilities. So going into these spaces, going into utilities, into radiator right there, we can put them, say, here, 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 and here. We can go for this spot, this spot, this spot, and this spot. And we should be able to do them down here as well. Now, there was some space up this way that we still need to move around. There we go. If we go back into utilities, back into radiators, we can go for this spot, and this spot. And once those are installed, it should make those cells just that little bit warmer, and it's hopefully going to stop them complaining about the temperature situation. Now, the family situation is not ideal. We will kind of try to deal with that with some phones and better visitation. This radiator doesn't actually have a hot water pipe coming down to it. That makes sense, though, because we didn't really do that one the same way. Over this way, we're going to need to run some hot water pipes here, which is totally fine. And I guess we're going to want to sort of redo the layout of these spaces with the yellow chairs going up beside the TVs instead of down beside the showers. We can also go into our radiators again, and we'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we just have to remember to basically continue that into all of the other cells, which is fine. We can do that. We're a little bit broke, but we can do that. We do have room for 26 prisoners, though. So I guess if we go to intake, we can bring this up to 26, which gives us 4 new inmates in the morning. And this is probably a good moment to talk about sort of my plans for when we're going to expand the prison to medium security, maximum security, supermax, and so on and so forth. Basically, I'm kind of looking at this first handful of episodes of the series as an opportunity to relearn how the game works, and I'm still kind of doing that. I'm still learning the tips and tricks. I'm still getting to grips with everything that I've sort of forgotten in the years that I haven't played this. What I might end up doing is eventually looking to have individual sort of functional prisons on all of the different islands. Now, this main island here is big enough that I could probably put medium security here as well, and we probably will do that. But what I want to do is just initially set this whole thing up so that we are hopefully gonna make a bit of money. That's kind of the goal, is that I want to try and make a little bit of money through this this initial prison and through this initial setup, and then expand that. Because something that I've very rarely done in Prison Architect is actually make money. It's not very common. Usually I use the strategy of just chopping down a million trees, and that's how I make my money. I have no doubt that I'm going to continue to do that, and we're getting to the point money-wise at the top there where I'm probably going to have to do that again. But I'd like to figure out, with a relatively minimally risky and dangerous prison, if we can get some workshops in here, if we can get some money out of here, and then just expand that and just go from there. I want to have a wildly successful prison. If I can do it, great. If I can't, then it's going to be funny in the process. So it's kind of a win-win either way. Maybe not for me, but hopefully for you. Anyway, we have some new prisoners arriving by boat right here. We did just have a bunch of them leave as well. So tomorrow we have 11 new prisoners arriving, which is totally fine. But looking at these guys, we have much longer sentences, which gives us an opportunity to hopefully get them taught in, workshop management or whatever it is. What's the workshop thing? Workshop safety. That's what I'm looking for, is workshop safety. We have one person interested in that. It's $100 per session. There's 2 sessions. It's led by a foreman in a workshop. It's a 2-hour session. That's fine. We might actually go so far as saying that one of the rooms out here, once we start building this space, can maybe be a workshop of some sort. It won't be the biggest of workshops, but it would be better than nothing, which is kind of what we have right now. So that's going to be the plan. What I would like to do as well is go ahead and just sell a bunch of the wood that we have sitting out here. It is ridiculous how much money you get from doing this, but man, if I don't do this, I am not building a damn thing. So this is what we do. This is this is how I play Prison Architect every single time. Let's, I guess, go ahead and get some more cells into all of this space. We'll go to quick build, we'll go to custom, we'll go to clone, and we essentially want to grab, I think, all of this. We can rotate it, and it should just fit up here, and it absolutely does. So that's going to live right about there, which is fine by me. we can probably avoid copying the dormitories because that seems like a terrible idea. And what we'll do instead is just build these spaces on the inside manually. Oh, and just while this is all going on, I want to draw attention to one more comment, and it's from Charles Fabrini 7392, who said there is a setting in options that will take out the checkerbox in your rooms. They play with it off, and the rooms look much better. I've actually already done that. That's why the rooms look the way they do, and they look a little bit different when compared to the last episode. That setting is in options. I believe it's in game, and it's this one right here. If we turn it back on, you can see the sort of checkerbox pattern on the floor that kind of marks out the rooms. I have kind of wanted rid of this for the longest time. I don't know how old that setting is, but it looks so much better when we don't have the checkerbox everywhere. So thank you very much for pointing that out, because I probably never would have noticed it. I love how the game looks without the checkerbox. It's so much better. Okay, so it looks to me like we now have a capacity of 38 prisoners. So let's go ahead and increase intake from 26 to 38, which means we're bringing 23 prisoners in here in just under 2 hours. We'll get $6,900 for that, and I'm hoping this canteen is going to be good enough for them. What I would like to do is maybe just get some phone booths in here. It would be a good idea to get some phone taps at some point, but for now, I think a couple of phone booths in here might be a good idea. It might just help to cheer some of the prisoners up a little bit. I mean, they're in prison. There's only so much cheering up that we're going to be able to do, but I figure it'll give them a bit of a connection to their families, which they might not get since we have a limited amount of space in visitation. So here's hoping that this does what I would want it to do. Here's hoping. I mean, we already have one. We have a couple of them. Yeah, that's actually instantly getting used, which is just fantastic. Now, we have had oh my God, that boat is just full. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Yeah, so Bolton was sent back. Bolton now has a much longer sentence than before, which is quite funny, given that we've made some changes. But that's okay, because if we go and have a bit of a look at our programs, we now have 10 people interested in workshop safety, which I'm okay with. We have a bunch interested in education as well. This will be good. The main thing I want is workshop safety. I know that some of them want to work in the kitchens. I don't care. They're not doing that right now. They're going to be working where I can make money from them. And that actually reminds me, we probably should get around to adding some metal detectors at some point. Now, these are $1,000 each, but my thinking is that if I was to basically just add them to essentially any of the communal spaces that my prisoners have to go through. So if I added them here, for example, or up here, add them down here, and then get rid of this door and add them there, I mean, that's going to be $6,000. But it is going to mean that they go through a metal detector. In fact, I am going to get rid of that door because it's just ever so slightly in the way. There's nothing they can get into if I don't have that door there. We will go ahead and put a new capacitor in there, which is a lot of money, but that's okay. We'll make sure that's a priority. And I think, honestly, we will go ahead and put some metal detectors in here. That's why we want that capacitor. So this was suggested in a handful of comments as well. Basically, it was pointed out that, hey, you selected a warden that gives you extra money from Contraband, and now you're doing everything you can do to not have Contraband in the prison, such as using the visitor booths. So hopefully the metal detectors can be used to catch some of that stuff. I do know that we can do shakedowns as well in all sectors to maybe find some stuff. And you know what? We will do a bit of a shakedown. We'll have the guards just search for some contraband throughout the prison and see what happens. We're definitely not going to be having some happy prisoners by doing this, but they will live, or they won't. It's entirely, you know, you never know. They might not. It's it's definitely a possibility. I will say I'm relatively sure that consulting fee that we see every now and then, I think that's the money we make when we find stuff. I'm relatively sure that's the money we make when we find stuff. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's called a consulting fee to sort of hide that we're selling contraband, basically, which is fair enough, all things considered. Anyway, I suppose now would be as good a time as any to go ahead and build this extra part of the prison over here. I think we can probably overlap that wall as well. We won't get rid of that wall until the new part's built, but this way we can start working towards a common room and some kind of workshop and all that good stuff. I do want to look at bureaucracy. We do have prison labor, which is exactly what we're looking for. We do have a foreman down here as well. So once we get the workshop, we will pretty much instantly be able to start running some workshop induction and safety classes, which will hopefully result in us getting a bunch of people working in the workshops, and thus we might make some money, which would be lovely because thus far I'm just chopping down trees and selling logs, and it's not particularly profitable. Although there is a carpentry apprenticeship, which I mean, they can make high value wooden items at the carpenter's table. That seems good. At the very least, workshop safety will let them work in a workshop, and I know that they can make, I want to say it is license plates in the workshop. So we'll start small. We'll start with a small workshop. We'll go from there. Actually, just while we're in bureaucracy, it might not be a terrible idea to get something like patrols so that I can set my guards to walk up and down specific spots. We probably don't need to worry about things like tax relief. This would, let's see, you will save 1,500 taxes per 10,000 of daily profit. I mean, it's not terrible, but we're not really making a profit, so I'm not really super worried about that. Remote access would be really good. It will let me remote control doors. We can hold off on that just a little bit. Intelligence is going to be better for tracking and recovering contraband, which might not be terrible given that we can make some money from that. And prison policy is going to let me increase and decrease the punishments for all types of misconduct, as well as automatically triggering searches of the misbehaving prisoner and their cell. That could be useful given that we have seen them get a little bit uppity here and there, but to be fair, they got uppity because they were freezing. So I can't really be too mad at them for that, because I would also be a little bit upset about freezing in my cell. I mean, it's prison. I get it. What is hold on a minute. I will what I don't know what was that? Okay, what are you doing? Oh, he's trying to break out. That's not going to end well. Wait, what are you? Oh, they're detecting that as like an open. Okay, that's a little bit embarrassing. I mean, I don't know where you think you're going, but you're not getting through that solid brick wall. There's a few of them that think they're getting somewhere. They're definitely not. Let me just send a couple of guards over that way to deal with you. There we go. That seems unnecessary, but sure. There we go. Job done. That was a little bit mean. That was definitely a little bit mean. Let's go ahead and, you know what? I might go for a different wall in here because we can. It's completely on the inside of the space. What if we go for some white walls here just to change things up a little bit? That seems kind of neat, I suppose. We can go to doors, and we can put some of these large jail doors to use here and here. We can put some regular jail doors here and here, and that'll give us a nice little space in the middle there that we can, like I said, turn into a workshop or whatever it might end up being. So I guess we should probably go ahead and actually get a bit of a workshop in here, which thankfully we do have the minimum size for. We can also get ourselves a common room as a space for my prisoners to sort of enjoy. We'll figure out what's going in there in just a little bit. But for the workshop itself, we need a saw, a press, and a table. So the table, what if we go for two small tables just there and there? That seems like a solid idea. We can get ourselves the saw and the press. Now, if I remember right, I don't know if there is actually a good or like optimal layout for this. So let's just do, I don't know, two of each, two saws, two presses. That seems probably fair enough. We'll do 1, 2, and then we'll do 1 and 2. And I guess we'll just do another couple of small tables down at the bottom here as well. That seems all right. We could even do a large table over on this side if we wanted to. We'll get some lights into the space because that's a thing that we're going to be needing. And then for the common room, I'm pretty sure we can just put pretty much anything in here. So we'll do, I guess a table in the middle could work. We could do table tennis, which I'm not against doing. We could do table football, which I'm also not against doing, but probably giving them somewhere to sit might be worth doing. We'll do a nice big TV. We'll do a nice sort of wide sofa there. We'll do a regular little sofa next to it. We could do a radio over in that corner. That seems like an idea. We could do a pool table as well, which I think I will do. I think we'll do a pool table. We could do a couple of arcade cabinets, which are a little bit expensive, but that seems fine as well. We have canvas and paints. We have a pet bird, which I guess apparently caters to the family needs. So we'll put the pet bird there. That seems fine. And I don't know if I'm willing to give them a snack. Do I want to give them a snack machine? I guess I could give them a snack machine. Sure, it's very expensive, but we'll give them a snack machine and that'll be fine. I don't know that I'm willing to give them much else. We could do like bookshelves. We could do the short bookshelf. That's not a short bookshelf at all. We could do this little one, which actually this would be good in cells to improve the overall quality, but I think we'll leave it be for now. I think honestly this is fine for the common room. I just want to get some lights in there, so we'll do kind of the same thing that we did for the workshop. We'll get them into those spots. We have very, very little money left, but that's all right. What I will do is look at deployment, and I want to look at my schedule as well. It's regime. So anywhere that they have free time, so at 11 in the morning, I want to have a guard or two in the common room just to be safe. Yard time doesn't matter. And then work and free time is going to be one, maybe two in there and maybe two in the common room as well, just to make sure that we're always covered in those spaces so that if anything happens, we can sort it out and it's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, so with this done, what I would like to do is have a look at prison labor, because apparently we have 8 qualified prisoners. So 1, 2, 3, we can get 5 in here. And then I guess we want to go to something like programs and we want to do something like the workshop safety induction. Now, I do want to start this. We're on it from 2 until 4. That should be fine. If we can get some people taught how to work in here, that's great. I just hope that that's something we can do. And I hope that's something that we can pull off. I realize, though, that we do have these saws in here and that those are going to be really good for all the trees that we're pulling down, which I've had to do some more of because we did get another, it's not in here right now, but we did get another minus $15,000 at one point for another reoffending prisoner. So it's an ongoing issue, the whole reoffending thing. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. I would, however, like to get some patrols going here. So I want one that goes up and down here. I want one that goes up and down here. And I want one that goes up and down about there. And I think that'll be okay. What we can do now is go back to deployment. And I realize that because of all the changes we've made to this space, it's a little bit all over the place. So I think what we'll do is stick with patrols and say that overnight, we are going to have just one guard sort of running up and down all of these patrols. That should be fine. That should be more than enough. Although I think during the workday as well, we probably want some guards kind of going up and down here as well, because they do have some free time in those spaces. And we'll kind of just see how that works out. We'll see if that ends up being a good layout for my guard patrols. But I'm hoping that with this common room here, and I'm hoping that with this workshop here, we can kind of keep everybody nice and relaxed. I'm hoping that this will be good for us, and I'm hoping that this will work out. The prisoners, I mean, 9 of them think they're well treated. Some of them are shackled in their cells or in solitary. Some are suppressed, and 1 has been unnecessarily searched. But you know what? For the most part, they're looking all right. My staff, on the other hand, are cold. They're not well rested. Their food kind of sucks. How can I fix my staff problems? If we look at utilities, they don't really have any radiators in the staff room. So you know what? It might be a good idea to put a radiator in that space right about there. It might also be a good idea to put a radiator up in the the staff canteen too. So we'll get that all going, and that'll hopefully help them out a little bit. That'll hopefully cheer them up a little bit. We don't have radiators in the offices either. So you know what? It might be a good idea to get some radiators into some of these office spaces. Oh, now look at this. We do have some prisoners in the common room, which is lovely to see. Very, very happy about that. We have my workers putting some radiators into the offices and the staff rooms and into the canteen up here as well, which I'm hoping is actually going to be connected. Looks like we're missing just a little bit of pipe right there, which is okay. We have some pipe over on the right that needs to be installed. We have some hot water pipes that are needed right here and right about here as well. But for the most part, if we have a look into our staff needs, they will hopefully be okay with the warmth thing here. That's hopefully going to get a little bit better for them once all those radiators are working. Now, speaking of working, we do have some of them working in here. We also have some teaching going on. So what I'm hoping is that we're going to see these ones that are... Actually, I realize the ones that are working aren't doing anything right now because of the simple fact that the ones being taught... There we go. So the ones being taught were kind of using the machines. But this is what I want to see. This wood... So if we look at this pile of logs is worth 340. This wood is 680. This is how we can start making some money here. The workshop press might be slightly useless because I'm realizing that we're going to need to bring some metal in here, which we can do, and we are bringing in some sheet metal to turn into good old, what do you call it? License plates. License plates. But I think the main thing will be the wood that we're getting here, which I'm really excited about, actually. This is good. We have some pretty good stuff here. What is this? The rat problem is now an infestation. If their numbers aren't reduced, it's only a matter of time before they pass on disease to the prisoners. We have rats again? Seriously? That's unfortunate. Okay. Okay. We are going to need to do something about that. For sure. I'm also thinking that these workshop presses... I don't know. I think those are what people need to be trained to use. And I think the saws can be used by anybody. So I think the real trick here would be to work towards I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, forestry. A place to grow trees. Trees can be used to create products in the workshop to sell. So the real trick would be to get some forestry going so that we can grow our own trees, chop them down, and put them into the workshop to sell for profit. But what we need to do right now is get rid of this helicopter. It needs to go away, and we need to call in air pest control, which is just a ridiculous amount of money to spend on this. Do we have another? We do have another one of these helicopters. Seriously? I need go away. I know I could just set this helipad to just be for, you know, these kind of things, but it's whatever. It's fine. We will get these guys to deal with the rats. We will have my workers hopefully export the wood that we have laying around here, and that'll be a bit more money. That's good. A lot of the logs that we've chopped down are now being taken into the workshop. What I'm kind of wondering is whether or not I could maybe just sort of not worry about the aesthetics of things for a second and just put more of these saws in here. I'm very tempted to do that. I could just cram like another saw right there. I could put a saw right here and a saw right there. And I'm very, very tempted to do that just to make a bit more money out of this thing, because I do think that would be a good idea. Now, these things are 1,500 a piece, so let's start with this one, I guess, and we'll see how that goes. We've also just been fined another $30,000 for a prisoner that's reoffended. No. I mean, look, we get rewarded for the calamity again because the rats are, we're fine. See? We're we're fine. Everything's okay. Oh, man. That's so silly. That is just so silly. Anyway, we have 3 of these saws now. That should be pretty good for us once the prisoners are up and about and working again. I'm looking forward to making some money out of that. When it comes to the different reform programs, though, when it comes to everything that we have here, we will probably need to start looking into foundation education. We will want to look into behavioral therapy. The drug addiction is going to be really important. Alcoholics groups therapy is going to be important. All of this. Spiritual guidance, flower therapy. I want to do all of it. Conflict resolution, the 3 strikes program, just all of it. I want to do all of it because I think it will just generally reduce the likelihood that someone's going to reoffend and thus the likelihood that I'm going to be fined for them reoffending, which I still stand by is ridiculous, but I get it. It's a video game and there needs to be a challenge. So looking at this whole thing, it looks like we're actually on track to get some pretty decent money if we can keep the logs going into the workshop and if we can get more people working in here. Now, what I'm thinking is that I might actually turn one of these spaces down here into a workshop as well, although I'm not 100% sure that I actually have the space to do that. No, we don't. A workshop has to be minimum 5 by 5. This is only 4 across. The reason I'm thinking of doing that is because the class that we have going on takes up 2 hours of time. And as we do that, we are taking some time away from when we could be working. We're losing a bit of money there. So I'm kind of limited in terms of what I can do about that, which is really unfortunate. I can't really move this out of that space. It is outside of a valid work regime. So yeah, we're going to have to maybe look into getting ourselves another workshop at some point, but this will be fine for now. We do have some planks in there that can be exported, and that's better than nothing, I suppose. That's good. That's money. And if we look at the program itself, we do have 5 people that have finished it. 3 of them passed. We have 2 that are interested. So we do have room for some workers in here, which is great. The carpentry apprenticeship would be cool to do. Each participant requires a carpenter table. It's voluntary, it's practical, it's advanced. I don't really think we're going to be doing that one. I think the rest of them we will have to look into, like education, which requires a classroom. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time to get all of this together, but I like this. I don't necessarily know what these spaces down here are going to be. Can that be a classroom? A classroom has to be 5 by 5, so no, it can't be a classroom. It's what we've discovered. I really have no idea. We could put a security room down here if we really wanted to. A library has to be 5 by 5. It can't be forestry. Parole has to be 5 by 5. A chapel has to be 6 by 6. A shop can be 4 by 4. So that's something. A gym has to be 7 by 7. So these rooms down here are essentially useless. We could do a cinema. That would be an option. It requires a projector, a screen, and some benches. So that's fine. It has some classics like The Great Intake, The Blue Mile, and It's Wednesday, My Dudes. Okay. Let's, of course. Okay. Let's do a cinema. I guess we might as well. I've never actually built one of these before. I really have no idea. I mean, what do we want? So we need just chairs. We can do sofas. We can do things like that. Do I want to make it? It's $400 for the leather chair. I think we go for these guys. Honestly, I think these are probably enough for now. What else do we need? We needed a screen, I think was the thing. Yeah, the projector screen, which is kind of huge, but it can live. I'm going to say there actually for the projector screen, because that's not going to overlap with my my workshop. You can go away and that can be moved to there. And then our projector is this guy, and it's going to live right at the back. So I want to say right about there. Kind of expensive, but that should be all right. We can go to flooring and we can do, what can we do in here? We have triangular tiles. We have reclaimed rubber. We have the cargo one. I guess we'll just go for like a red carpet in here. I really feel like putting a cinema in here above all else does not feel like something I should be prioritizing, but here we are. This is apparently what I'm doing. We'll put a guard in there just to make sure that everybody's behaving. And that's going to look pretty good. I really should have gone with the red chairs, but this will be fine. We'll have the blue ones for now. We can put more of them in there eventually. And yeah, this is a weird room. It's a really, really weird space to have inside of a prison. But you know what? As long as it keeps them happy, as long as they're not rioting, I think that's fine. Oh, I've just noticed we have some people working on license plates. Oh, that's fantastic. Those are actually not worth a ton of money, apparently, but it's very cool that they're working on them regardless. And it's something that they can work on whenever we don't have any logs. Not that we're going to be running out of those anytime soon, but it is something they can work on. That's very cool. Oh, I love that. I really do. I've actually been thinking we should probably build another workshop down this way and a properly big workshop so that we could maybe keep this one as a training space and then have this one down here be our large, like, working workshop. But I think that's something we can probably do in the next episode, because that is going to be doing us for today. I know it doesn't look like we've done a whole lot here, but I think, you know, sorting out the rats thing and figuring that out, expanding the prison, getting some prison labor going, we've done a decent little bit here. We've turned off the shorter sentences. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. I'm looking forward to getting some classrooms in here and getting some proper reform programs going. So that's going to be the plan. That's what we're going to be trying to do. But that is something we can worry about in the not too distant future, because that is going to be doing us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.